Hello, welcome to a video where I take a perfectly fine 8-string guitar and destroy it to try to make it look cooler. When I got this guitar, I really enjoyed the way it played. It was a really great entry-level guitar to break into the 8-string world, but there's a few things I didn't love about it. There's no doubt that it's pretty plain looking physically. It has a basic Ibanez shape, some pretty unattractive straight edges all around the body. The white paint didn't exactly turn any heads, and it looked kind of funny against its beautiful Jatoba colored fretboard. Plus the headstock was a glossy black that didn't exactly match anything, and neither did the maple colored neck. In short, it felt like it was a mismatched mess, and at the very least, I wanted to slap a new coat of paint on it. The other thing I wanted to change about it was its weight. Coming in at 10.8 pounds with all the hardware on it, it really was a pain in the neck, quite literally, to carry around and play. And because it didn't have a tremolo, locking tuners, or anything else fancy about it, it was hard to accept the weight that I had to carry around. So when I decided to take on this project, I had two major goals. Make it look cool and make it light. I think if I learned anything from this process was that if you have even a small desire to do something, I think you should do it. It was really a lot of fun to take on this project because I really didn't think I could. I thought that, there was a lot of things that worried me. I was worried about what people would think about the outcome. I was worried about, ruining a perfectly good guitar, as I mentioned. I was, nervous that I didn't have the skills to do what, was going to be done. It was just going to gather dust in the corner. But what surprised me was the fact that sometimes I would overanalyze and I would overthink and nothing would get done. And the times that I kind of surrendered that and just kind of went with it was the times that I was most productive and when I got the best results. It's been a lot of fun. And so that's kind of why I recorded this whole process. I figured this was a scary thing for me. And so for me to record it and kind of share it with people, I would feel that at least people could learn from my mistakes at the very least. So that's why I recorded my whole process here. So if you're interested in what I did, this is just a guitar refurbishment video. But if you're interested, watch my journey and what I went through. It was a lot of fun and I learned a lot. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoy.
Let's do it.
So, planning, the hardest stage to get out of because really nothing happens in the planning stage. And my goal was to actually get stuff done. So I just wanted to start small. I wanted to start by getting off all of the components because I knew that I'm just going to do a fresh coat of paint anyway. So let's get all of this off. In the back of my mind too, I wanted to see what am I starting with? What's the weight I'm dealing with? And what kind of goals do I have there? So really a lot of this is just quite literally screwing around and removing electronics. When we get to the electronics part, I suggest an old, I think it's a military trick, that if you are removing the wires from somewhere, you cut off the wires a little bit back so you can tell what color they are, and that allows you to, when you are reconnecting the devices, you know which cord goes where. I learned that from a military guy, and it's been very handy for me. So 4.6. So pretty much what I thought. So 4.6 pounds on this baby right here. The neck, I don't know if it's gonna do it. 2.4 pounds. There's a couple things I want to do with this body. Kind of looking into it. So the first thing is there's this big old nick right here on this side, and I'd like to obviously smooth that out since I'm grinding it away anyway. But yeah, that's my main thing. Weighs about 4.2 pounds right now. I don't know if I would get a whole pound off of this thing, but it would be really nice if I could somehow get it to weigh significantly less. So I'll do what I can. I know it's possible. You can drill holes into it and stuff like that. So anyway, I was going to do some research and pick body styles that I like. So I really like the Abbasi series. Obviously, I'm not under any assumptions that I can get anywhere close to it. but I do like the body designs. I'm thinking there's something I can do here. Kind of what he did is he cut from here out to here, and then kept a round piece. Went out here. I always thought about cutting this short too. The thing that I'm missing obviously is this whole big bowl is not here. I think it's possible at least to kind of cut from here, maybe even. I do love this color situation. We have the white here, and then along the side there is a separate kind of layer. The thing about this one is the underwood is obviously a lot nicer. Definitely doable, and just kind of repaint it. I don't know what the wood grain looks like under here. I imagine it's not pretty, because I mean, even the inside of this is not gorgeous. It's really kind of marked up and shit. Do you see like how fucking ugly this guitar is? It's so ugly, man. Like compared to these other ones. Oh my lord. A little bit of Photoshop action. I don't know. We'll see how this works. I don't really know. I can see, but this is kind of what we're going for, right? We want this ugly, this pretty. Knowing the pot is right here as well, so what I'm doing here is I'm using Photoshop to kind of overlay other guitar designs over the top of it and erasing the original underneath it on a different layer, which kind of helps me see like the end result body shape. And it was pretty helpful. It's not very different. The part that I like is what matters most, and that is this little bottom piece right here. Cutting that off. Okay. Hey, it doesn't look bad. It looks alright. It looks kind of bad, doesn't it? It looks kind of bad. Tried something else. So I got the Osiris, this guy, and I made him into an 8-string. Okay, same process. So, but this is pretty. They're very close to each other. They're very similar. So, okay, I like that. I like that. Start marking it up, man. So I came up with the design that I liked at the time, and wanted to kind of sketch it on the actual body itself before I took off any paint. And it kind of sat there for a couple weeks. I was too scared to kind of move forward and start to remove the paint from the guitar. But it really helped me kind of visualize, like, is this the body design I like? It gave me time to kind of look at other designs and come up with different things. But I went back to the drawing board. It was a few times until I finally decided on the body shape and even the color that I was going for. Welcome to my garage. I'm going to start sanding the guitar body. The internet actually has a video. I forgot who the guy was, but he has a video of him actually redoing this exact same model, the RG8. So he says to start with 80 grit sandpaper and work your way up to 320 grit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll start off with 80 and go on from there. Just sand it down. So the 80 grit, I said to just barely kind of let it touch the surface. Don't push too hard. So I'm going to use very light pressure and get it down to get all the paint off, and then start smoothing it out after that. All right. Huge disclaimer. If you learn anything from me, learn this. If you ever refinish a guitar, there is a lacquer layer underneath the paint. So this entire time that I'm sanding, I did not remove the lacquer finish, which is super important to do if you are planning on doing any kind of woodworking on your guitar. If you're just spray painting your guitar and you're not actually making any changes to the wood, I don't think it's really necessary to take off the lacquer. Because I didn't, a lot of the carving and the changes that I made to the actual guitar body were way more difficult than it had to be because I didn't know about the lacquer finish. So just the curves here need to be done, and this part So this stuff, I think if you wanted to, you could use like a Dremel or something to sand this off with like some bits or something, but I'm not worried about it. It's my guitar, so it's not like I'm selling it. If I was, I think I'd make it nicer, but I'm not worried about this internal stuff here. So I'm gonna keep going. I guess I'll do the belly thing here and move on to the edges. So, okay, update. So I got all the back sanded down. It's such a pretty maple color. And I got all the edges done, except for the top. I forgot about the top. But the edges, particularly these little parts right here, took a long time with the sander. So you just kind of use the edge of it, like right here, and just go really slow. And just go back and forth motions. Don't push hard at all, but it just takes more time because it's working through it. Also keep in mind how slow the sander moves. I don't have multiple speeds on mine, so just be patient with it. So I think I'm gonna take a little break. And when I come back, I'll do the top here, and then I'll do the front. So that's my update. All right, now the front is done. Cool. However, I could only get most of this because my sander doesn't fit all the way in. If I do it like this, it ends up hitting the other end of the wood, and I don't want to morph it. And then same thing right here. I just can't get in here because it hits this, and I can't go any further to get these. So I'm probably going to get like a wood block and some sandpaper and just kind of work on it. That might take a while because this paint is obviously very thick. I'm also curious how much weight this paint has taken off of this guitar. It's probably not very much, but I'm still curious. So, okay, I think I found a solution to this. So these are like little bits you can get, and you can put sandpaper on there. I have to tighten this, but anyway, you kind of put that on there, and then that, I think that should work for this. It's like a Dremel kind of idea. Let's see. Ew. Oops. It slipped. I'm gonna have to tighten that up, but it should work, so I'll do that. Okay, last update for the day. I got the crevices. I ended up having to use a piece of the orbital, fold it up, and then did it that way. So a lot of elbow grease, but it worked. Okay, next part. I'm very nervous about this, but I'm gonna start the filing and rasping process on the guitar. So here's kind of the design I'm going for. So up here, I'm just going to adjust this a little bit to make it a little thinner, more modern, kind of sharp, pointy vibe. Then on this side, just to make it a little less here, like just take off this tip part here, because I always thought it was a bit long. So, and then down here, I have a couple ideas. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by beveling this. I'm gonna bevel this super low. You can see it starts really low here. It kind of tapers up until it gets flat again right here, because right here is my input box. So I can't obviously bevel through that because it'll be a hole. So if this looks bad after I bevel it, if my idea looks bad, what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna cut along this line instead and just cut all this wood off, pivot, and make this input box into a back input right here like this, going back. A bossy guitarist does that same idea, so I might end up just doing that, but it's always good to start off with something like this. So anyway, I'll start the filing as best I can. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. So this is what I was talking about. Unbeknownst to me, there is a lacquer finish on here that's making this chiseling very, very, very difficult to do. I thought that this was just part of the process. But you know, had I had filed it correctly, this would have gone a lot easier. Also, files and chisels, I don't think are the best tool for this. I managed to get it to work for me, but I don't know if I would recommend it to people who are trying to shape their guitars. I think I would use something like a Shinto rasp. The reason why I started with the chisels instead of the rasp was because the rasp took forever to get in. But I really think it's probably the best tool for guitar shaping, and I should have just been more patient. It worked out for me, but in the future, I'll never be using chisels like this again. Okay, I'm gonna try to saw, but only here to start off with, because I have a lot of room for error. And we can kind of practice on this saw a little bit more. I've used it before, it's cheap. I still don't love the idea, but I'm just gonna do a little bit to see what it kind of looks like. The workflow could potentially be, but I didn't file beyond the line I'm supposed to, so I'm just gonna try to cut some of this off and see what that looks like. It actually worked a lot better than I thought it would. So, oh, sorry, my hand's in the way. It's completely flat here. Maybe I should show you the right part. There we go. So it's fine. And then the filing and the scoring is only gonna make it nicer. So that's really good for rough cuts. Just kind of getting down to the part where you can use hand tools for the rest of it. So it's nice. I don't think I want to go anymore, just because that straight line is really important and I don't want to fuck that up. So I'm not going to. I think next though, I'm going to cut this right here. I'm going to cut this guy next. So. I've been updating it a little bit, so it's looking a lot cooler over time. So what did I do here? So you saw the part where I chop sawed here. Then I took the sander, palm sander here, just cleaned up the edges that I made. A lot of these with this with these chisels kind of went a little too ham on some of the sides, so I had to really sand them down to get them smooth. But I think I got like the worst parts of it. And then again, I'm not done sanding either. After I'm done carving, I'm gonna go through all the different sanding grits to get it down right. So, okay, so I'm gonna take off a little bit more on this top one. So you see when you look at it head on, it just looks like a little too big. So I drew a line and I'm just gonna chisel straight down, keep doing what I was doing, basically. Right, so I'm really glad that worked. So I fast forwarded it. So I did power sander for a little bit after I chiseled, got it down where I wanted. And then because of the chiseling, there was some really deep grooves in here. Again, probably not the best tool to be using for this, but I did it. Tried to do it by hand and I got most of it, but there was still some really deep ones. Using a Dremel, again 80 grit on that little sandpaper Dremel bit for your drill or whatever, was able to get those notches out. It's not perfect, like there's still a couple like tiny ones, but the big ones, like it's pretty ugly, are all gone, so that's great. I'm gonna move on. Thinking about doing this one, but I might change my mind and not do it. Overall, I kind of like the way it looks. It's pretty sick. So yeah, awesome. My first bevel done. One of my favorite changes I made to this guitar was this right here, beveling the horns so it's a smooth transition into the body. Before, they just kind of went straight down and it looked really blocky and it didn't have a lot of character. So a very small change that I really liked. Okay, hello. So I'm back after a few days off. So I've got something online called the Shinto rasp. It's from Japan. I got it on Amazon. I think it was like 20, 30 bucks or something like that. It wasn't too much, but it comes highly recommended for like woodwork and stuff. And so I wanted to work on tapering this bit a little bit. I'm just gonna start simple by beveling it and see how it goes. And so I'm just gonna kind of do this kind of motion with the rasp all the way down and see what kind of damage it does, to see if I need to adjust anything. You can use different tools, but I'll just put it on the
fast mode thing. Catch you later, I guess.
So I got the idea of using a Shinto rasp from this guy right here on YouTube. An excellent tool to use to carve the belly of the guitar and also the edges.
Okay, another update. So I've been chiseling at this and I've been trying to get a really deep cut, like a deep scoop. I just don't have the tools for it. So what I think I'm gonna end up doing, and not because I don't have the tools, but because I kind of like the shape of it, is kind of cut this whole thing off right here. So the whole view more or less look like this when I'm done with it. And it matches kind of the body shapes that you see with headless guitars. Not perfectly, but pretty well. Obviously I'll clean all that up and make the edges real smooth and nice. But I think it starts by cutting this off. So, and I've kind of was debating cutting this whole thing off anyway. So let's just do this at least, because I know I want to get rid of some of this weight. So if I cut this off, I'd like to see how the rest goes. So I won't film the process for this, but I'm just going to use this little table saw and just kind of go all the way down. Just start here. I'll start more shallow than the line and just kind of cut along, see if I like it. Hope I like it. And then maybe cut a little bit more up to the line if I do. So I don't know. Wish me luck, man. Good news is I kind of like it. This piece was cut off right off of there. So here's what it looks like now. I like it. I like how it looks. So this is the shape. I'm just gonna bevel this, make this pretty. Fix this. I kind of fucked up here. I might have to end up cutting it again and maybe sawing this or something, I don't know, but I like this as an overall body shape. I think it looks tough and not so, you know, copy paste. I like it. I think it's cool. Okay, here's another update. So here's the guitar shape. Here's the body shape I'm going for, right? Let's put it up. I think I love it. I think I love the shape of it. Still functional, but different. It's curvy, but straight. I think it's cool. So one of the things that I made a mistake on, so I didn't realize that there was a lacquer finish. And I'm really glad I did some research, because my goal with the body, you know, although I'm still kind of working on exactly how it's gonna look like, I know for sure I wanna stain the body a different color. So when I looked online, I did a little more research and I found that you have to remove the lacquer in order to stain the wood, right? So here's the difference between the lacquer and then this is the natural wood. This must be like a really light color pine or something. So I need to resand this whole thing so it all looks like this, not like that. So I'm gonna go back in with 80 and then just redo all the grit I did, no big deal, on the front and the back. So, and then one other thing I did, and I really hope stain is gonna help hide it, but I had to do some wood filler on some of this because of my use of the file, of the chisels. My chisel work that I did, I dug in too deep in some areas, and so I had to add some Gorilla Glue wood filler stuff in there, which it fills the hole great, and it feels really smooth. It's just the color is worrying me, but it does say that it does work with stains, so and oil paints and stuff. So I'm just gonna sand this down again. That's gonna take a very long time. I'm not even gonna bother filming it, but going back to that 80 grit and just going all the way through it. Next time you see this guitar, it should look like this color right here and right here. So here we go. Okay, so update, I just sanded the lacquer off the front, not the back. So that's what it looked like before. Really yellow, and this is it now, completely white. Took off all that lacquer with the 80 grit. And it's nice actually because it revealed all this beautiful grain up here that you couldn't see before. Maybe it was there and I just didn't notice, but really gorgeous grain. You could see the different wood pieces put together there. So I really like the color of it. I'm glad that the lacquer kind of showed more of the wood grain. So when I stain it, I know that's gonna come through in the stain, which is really exciting. So it's starting to look better and better.
So the body design was 95% finished. I think I went back and did some very, very small changes off camera, but overall I decided on a body shape. So here I am with this blank canvas with, you know, endless possibilities in front of me and what color I can do, what kind of finish I want to put on there, etc., etc. And I was pretty overwhelmed. Finally changing the color of this guitar and doing a finish, that took the longest.
Okay, welcome back. So much has changed, yet not much has changed at all. I have decided on a design for the guitar in terms of the art that I'm going to go for. And I want to show you what I did. I'm getting very close to actually painting it, so let's take a look at it. Okay, so here she is. I didn't make many changes to the body since the last video. The only thing I did change was a slight bevel here, which I still have to sand. I'm going to go do that right now. I beveled this a little bit more so it's smooth right there. I've decided that the color scheme I'm going to go for is a natural espresso wood on the top, on the taped off portion right here, and a matte black on the outside and on the bottom here. So the reasoning why I'm doing an espresso color, it's this right here from Mini Wax. It's called the Espresso 273 semi-transparent, is because it matches what I thought was very, very well with the actual color of the fretboard. And I thought that would be really nice to have the body, the front of the body right here, all of this, to be a natural wood color, and then matte black on the sides, on the back, and on the back of the neck. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm also going to redo this. I'm not going to completely take it down to the wood, but I'm just going to clean this up, and then I'm going to spray paint this, that same matte black right here. I've taped over the Ibanez logo because I want to keep it. But let me go over how I taped it up. So I just used some, you know, some of that roll of paper you get for paint projects. I don't really know what it's called, but it's just like really cheap paper, and a lot of masking tape. So pretty much anywhere where it bevels down or to the sides, that's kind of like my limit for the tape. And it goes up and around. I made sure to tape this part because I don't want any paint buildup to like mess with like how the neck sits. So I want to make sure that this doesn't get painted at all here. It took a lot of time, but once you get it, you get it. The hardest part was this, is kind of coming up with the curvature, and that just uses a lot of pieces of tape essentially. And then for the fretboard, that was a lot easier because I could just lay a straight piece of tape on both sides. And the idea was I left the sticky part up, like kind of standing up. So like I laid the tape all the way down and it's sitting up like a wall. Did it on both sides. Then I got a piece of paper, laid it down, and then folded the tape over the paper. It was pretty efficient. And then same reasoning here on the back. I didn't want this painted for the same reasons. I don't want it to mess with how it sits. So I taped it over here and on the sides, on both sides here. And up top, it had this really cool like mechanical cap cover for the truss rod, and I didn't want to get that painted, so I covered that, and then I covered the Ibanez logo. I know it's not perfect, but it's just enough so like you wouldn't, I don't think you'll really tell that like that one small strip is gloss, or not gloss. I'm going with a matte black paint. I'm using this. I got all this at Ace Hardware for pretty cheap, so Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. It's flat black. I didn't want, it's flat apparently is as matte as you can get. Satin is just a level above that, and I really wanted the black to be super flat. The coating I'm going to put on is a polyurethane, fast drying. Again, I went with like a warm satin. That was, I couldn't find a matte. I don't know if they even make it, but I wanted just like a tiny bit of shine, like not a ton. So I figured this would be the best bet. So basically I'm going to go back to the shop. I'm going to sand this down. I'm going to do one more pass of 200, I think, or 220 or whatever I have, the highest grit that I have, all over the rest of the body that's not covered. Then I'm going to spray paint the sucker. And then when I come back, I'll flip it. And once it's dry, I'll flip the tape so the other end is masked. And we'll stain the other side. So that'll be a fun process.
I wasn't great at documenting the actual painting process. That's mostly because I was absolutely terrified that, you know, this would be the part that I really ruined the guitar. But To start off, some basic tools that I used. Using the existing holes in the guitar body that was used to hold the neck, I screwed in a spare piece of wood in order to hold the guitar body upright, clamped between two 2x4s. So when I spray painted, it would be a nice canvas. I wouldn't have to lay it on something else and risk, paint transfer and things like that. For the neck of the guitar, I was just careful not to squeeze the vise too hard on that neck. I didn't want to damage it, but I just kind of clamped it between the two pieces of wood there. I just used, basic painting techniques where you follow the instructions on the can. You shake it often, you stay a good distance apart, you do thin layers and just kind of do multiple. I think altogether I might have done 4 layers of paint. And then when I went and did the polyurethane finish, I think I did about 4 layers of that, maybe 5. Some people do a lot more. I didn't have the patience for it. I've heard people do like upwards of 60 coats of polyurethane on their guitar bodies, and I did not think that was necessary. That being said, I knew right away that this is going to be more of a bedroom guitar. I'm not going to take it out touring. It's not going to see a ton of sunlight, so I wasn't worried about the elements kind of damaging it. This is definitely not a bulletproof finish, and I wouldn't recommend it if that is your goal. For stain, I just followed the instructions on the bottle. I just used a spare rag and only applied 1 coat and wiped it off after about 10 minutes. By the end of it, I thought maybe it was a little dark, but I thought it was still gorgeous and exactly what I was looking for.
Okay, I wanted to share a cautionary tale. I kind of fixed it, I mostly fixed it, but so I had taped off all the black spots, right? I taped off, no, sorry, I did the other way. I taped off all the wood color spots so I could touch up some spray paint with one of the layers. And so when I did that, obviously I had tape. I spray painted inside of this, so I had tape all over here, and then I taped the edges, obviously. Now the thing is, what I didn't do, and I should have done, I didn't think about it, I don't even know if you can see it, but there was a very faint line, like here it's kind of obvious. There's a very faint line of where my blue painter's tape was. It's not this is actually paint right here. That's not the thing, but the tape, you can see it like embedded itself. Like you could see the glue kind of trace that what was happening there. So I noticed it after I'd already sprayed a layer of clear coat, and I went back with, I think it was the highest grit I had. I think it was like 220, maybe 320. And I just kind of went over these spots to try to buff it out a little bit while there was clear coat on it, which I know isn't very smart, but it looks okay now. It's a lot less obvious than it was before. But my whole point of this is once you're done taping off and you've taken the tape off, make sure you go back and clean it again before you put on the clear coat so you don't run into that same problem. But overall, I really like how it's looking.
All right, so here's the final product. I achieved my 2 goals, make it look cool and make it light. I love that I was able to incorporate the natural wood look into the finish, soften some of those harsh edges that it had, and give it a unique but modern shape. And the best part, I was able to shave off 3 pounds, which I didn't think was going to be possible. So really excited about that. The entire process took me 98 days from start to finish. I started in October, finished in January. And for many of those days, nothing was done at all, but that project was always in the back of my mind. So often I would pick up the guitar body and stare at it, trying to visualize the end result. The most rewarding lesson I learned was that the end result would never arrive if I didn't take that first step, which is always the scariest one. Forget about the planning. Just start. Just go for it. Outside of life lessons, I learned practical lessons too. How to work with wood, what lacquer is, how to spray paint and tape off. And all of this gives me courage to take on more projects that I might feel unprepared for. I'm really glad that I took this perfectly good guitar and changed it into something else, because I think it changed me too.
Aww, man,
anyway, thanks for watching. If you've never heard of me before, my name's Justin. You should check out my band, Phage. We're a metal band from Arizona. You can also check out a song that I wrote called Silence using my new guitar. I'll leave the link down below. Thank you.